You check your phone. There's no response. Now your mind starts writing stories. Did I say something wrong? Are they upset? Should I send another message? So you send one more, then maybe another. Then you stare at the screen like it owes you an explanation. And before you even realize it, you spent the last 20 minutes trying to control something you can't control. And that's the strange thing about being human. We spend so much of our lives trying to hold on to things so tightly that it starts to feel like life itself is slipping through our fingers. And here's something nobody really tells you. Control is one of the most powerful psychological needs we have. Not happiness, not success, control. Because when we feel in control, well, we feel safe. And when we feel safe, our brain can relax. But when we don't feel in control, that's when anxiety shows up. That's when overthinking shows up. That tight feeling in your chest, it shows up. The truth is, most of our daily stress doesn't come from what's happening. It comes from what we can't control about what's happening. You can't control how someone feels about you, or how long things take, or whether life goes according to plan, or even what other people decide to do. And yet, we spend an incredible amount of energy trying anyway, trying to manage outcomes, trying to predict the future, trying to prevent uncertainty, and trying to make sure, well, nothing goes wrong. It's like trying to steer a ship in the middle of a storm while forgetting you don't actually control the ocean. Psychologists call this the need for predictability. Your brain is constantly scanning for one thing. Can I predict what happens next? Because if it can predict, well, it believes it can control. And if it believes it can control, it believes it can protect you. This goes back thousands of years. Early humans who could anticipate danger, well, they survived. Those who couldn't, well, they didn't. So your brain evolved to do something fascinating. It tries to create the illusion of control, even when none exists. That's why we check our phones repeatedly. We replay conversations in our heads. We plan for every possible outcome. And we think, if I just figure this out, I'll feel better. But here's the twist. The more we try to control the uncontrollable, the more anxious we become. Because deep down, a part of us knows we're fighting something bigger than what we are. So think about how often we try to control things in completely ridiculous ways, like refreshing an email as if staring at it harder will make a reply come faster, or rechecking the weather forecast every 10 minutes, hoping it will negotiate with you, or trying to control how people perceive you, which is basically like trying to control what someone dreams about at night. Good luck with that. We even try to control time itself. We rush, we multitask, we push ourselves constantly, as if moving faster will somehow convince life to slow down. And the irony is, the tighter we grip everything, the more exhausted we feel, because control requires constant tension, and tension is incredibly expensive psychologically. Philosophers have wrestled with this for centuries. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said something incredibly simple, but deeply uncomfortable. Some things are within our control, and some things are not. That's it. That's what he said. That one sentence cuts through so much suffering, because most of our anxiety comes from mixing those two categories, trying to control what is not ours to control. Nietzsche took this even further. He believes suffering increases when we resist reality, when we fight what already is. He suggested something radical, that peace comes not from controlling life, but from accepting it fully. Even its uncertainty, even its discomfort, and even its unpredictability. Because when you stop fighting reality, you free up enormous psychological energy that was previously spent on resistance. Modern psychology also confirms this. Research shows that people who can tolerate uncertainty experience less anxiety, not because life is easier for them, but because they don't waste energy trying to control everything. Mel Robbins often talks about this in a very practical way. She says, "You can't control how you feel. You can't control what others do, but you can control your next action." That shift, that is powerful, because it moves control from outcomes to choices, from external events to internal responses. This idea also shows up in leadership psychology. In uncertain environments, effective leaders don't try to control everything. They focus on what they can influence, their mindset, their decisions, their ability to adapt. And ironically, That flexibility creates more stability than rigid control ever could. So here's the hidden cost of control. When we try to control everything, we stop fully experiencing life. We become tense instead of present. We analyze instead of feel. We protect instead of connect. We plan instead of live. Control can quietly steal joy, because joy requires openness, spontaneity, vulnerability, things that can't exist when everything is tightly managed. And that's why people sometimes feel strangely empty, even when life is going according to plan, because control gives safety, but it doesn't give meaning. So, what does letting go actually mean? It doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean becoming passive, and it doesn't mean not caring. Letting go means something much more powerful. It means learning to distinguish between what you can influence and what you must accept. It means loosening your grip just enough so life can move through your hands without feeling like it's slipping away. Because here's the paradox. When you stop trying to control everything, you often feel more in control than ever before. Not because life changed, but because your relationship with uncertainty changed, and that changes everything. And at the end of the day, life will always contain uncertainty. It will always contain unpredictability, and it will always contain things outside your control. That's not a flaw of life. That's part of being alive. And maybe the goal isn't to control the storm, but to learn how to stand calmly within it. To trust that not everything needs to be managed. Not everything needs to be solved immediately. Not everything needs to go according to plan. Because sometimes peace doesn't come from holding on tighter. Sometimes peace comes from finally letting go.